All right, kids. Today we're going to start looking at division with fractions. Before we get to our problem of the day, I just want to do a little brief reminder about what division actually means, right? I'm going to give you a really straightforward problem like 12 divided by 6. What does it actually mean for 12 to be divided by 6? Well, we can think of it in primarily two different ways. The first way is how many groups of 6 fit into 12, right? How many groups of 6 fit into 12? If I tried to take this 6 and fit it into 12, right? There's 12. I'm going to take 6, and I will see that it fits in 2 times, right? That's one way to think about division. The second way to think about division is thinking it like this. If I were to split 12 into 6 groups, how much would be in each group? So if I were to split 12 into 6 groups, how much would be in each group? And a model for that, right? I'm going to keep my 12 up here. I'm going to split my 12 into 6 groups. 1, 2. Okay. And I would know that in each of those groups to make up 12, I would need 2, right? I've taken 12, I've split it into 6 groups. One group has 2 in it. Those are two different ways to think about division. So nothing really changes when we do division with fractions. I'm going to recommend, though, that we think about it primarily, division with fractions primarily like number 1. How many groups of something fit into something else? And with that in mind, I want to look at our first problem, which is about Phineas Frog and his chocolate. So Phineas Frog had 3 bars of chocolate. He gave 1/4 of a bar to each of his friends. How many people got chocolate? So let's think about this. He's got 3 bars of chocolate, and 1/4 of a bar of chocolate is going to each friend. So, okay, there's 3 bars of chocolate, 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, right? And I essentially want to know how many times does 1/4 of a bar fit into 3 bars? And that's the problem, 3 divided by 1/4. How many times does 1/4 of a bar fit into 3 whole bars? And to find this out, we can just count. Well, here's 1/4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 quarters fit in 1 bar, which we all know, right? 1 whole is made up of 4 quarters. So then 2 bars, we've got another 4 quarters, so that would be a 5th friend, a 6th friend, a 7th friend, and an 8th friend. And 3 bars, we would get 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, right? So if we want to know how many times does 1/4 of a bar fit into 3 bars, well, it fits in 12 times, right? So each one of these little boxes represents 1/4. You can literally imagine going, okay, moving this little box along and seeing if it fits in. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3 divided by 1/4 is 12. Okay, so we would get 12 people get chocolate. Now, I'm not going to show you the math for this yet, because that's something we're going to work on in class, but that's just a model for how to divide a fraction by a whole number by a fraction. Now, I wanted to look, same problem, I'm just going to change the numbers around a little bit, and he's going to have 5 bars of chocolate, and he gave 2/3 of a bar to each of his friends. Okay, how many people get chocolate? Same thing, we're going to start, right? We want to know how many times 2/3 of a bar can fit into 5, right? Because you're going to have 5 whole bars. And you're going to be going by chunks of 2/3 of a bar, and you want to see how many times that's going to fit in. So let's draw our 5 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now before I was going by 1/4 of a bar, but now I'm going by 2/3 of a bar. So I know I'm going to need to split my bars into thirds because I'm going to have to move in groups of 2/3. Okay. So there's 5 bars. So 2/3 of a bar would be 2 of these 3 cubes. I'm just going to put them down here, right? So this is your 5, and this is your 2/3. And I'm essentially trying to figure out how many times is this chunk of 2, which represents 2/3, because it's 2 out of 3, which make a hole up here. And how many times does this representation of 2/3 fit into 5? Okay, well, let's just count off, right? So I'm going to shade along, right? I'm going to shade 2 blocks because that's the first time my 2 is going to fit in. And I'm just going to put a little 1 up above. Okay, then I'm going to do a little different shading. I'm going to do dots for my second shading. Okay, so that's another 2 blocks. So it fits in twice. So I'm going to move along. And there's another 2 blocks. So that's fitting in 3 times. I'm going to move again. Do my dots. That's 4 times. And move again. 5 times. Again. 6 times. Again. 7 times. Okay. Now, if I go and try to fit my 2 blocks in again, how many could fit of my 2 blocks? If you imagine these 2 blocks coming down here and trying to fit in, I've got 2 blocks I'm trying to fit into 1 space, right? I can't do that. Only 1 of those 2 blocks can fit in, right? So here's 1. So I would say it can fit in 7, but then 1 out of the 2 blocks can fit in again. So I can't fit a whole nother group of 2/3 into these 5 bars. I can only fit half a group of the 2/3 into my 5 bars. So what would my answer be? My answer would be, okay, can fit in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 people get chocolate, and then a half a person would get chocolate. Ouch, that's really gotta hurt. I don't know if getting chocolate is worth being cut into half. So this is an example of a problem, right? A word problem where it comes up with an answer that doesn't really make sense. It's still the answer, 7.5 people, right? But from a real world perspective, it doesn't make sense that a half a person would get chocolate. So that's just some introduction to modeling with division of fractions, dividing a whole number by a fraction. We build our whole number, right? And we build our fraction, and we see how many groups of our fraction can fit into our whole. And the key place where people make mistakes here is they think, oh, well, I'm dealing with thirds all along up here because I broke everything into thirds. And that's true. But as soon as you create your 2/3 down here, that's represented by 2 cubes. And when you're seeing how many times that fits in, and you get to the end, right, only 1 out of those 2 cubes fits. And so you get a fraction of, it fits in 7.5 times. So your denominator goes from dealing with thirds to dealing with halves. So that's it for today. Hope you guys have had a nice week with Monday and Tuesday off for parent conferences. See you soon.